Hello there, wonderful, beautiful people. My name is SavageHexes. This is Wizard101, and I bring to you today a special little challenge. So, I was going through YouTube recently, and I have seen that there's a plethora of different challenges that people have done throughout the inception of Wizard 101. If for those of you that don't know, Wizard 101 is a family-friendly game that has been out since 2008. So it's been out for a very, very long time, and it's one of the very few MMOs still out there that has been around since the early 2000s that is still incredibly popular. Now that is up for debate, but the community is still very vibrant today. There's a lot of positive things to be said about this game, and it is, like I said, a family-friendly game where families, old and new, have been playing this game or are trying to play this game or starting to play this game for the first time. For people like myself that grew up with Wizard 101, I started playing this game back in 2011. It's obviously 2025, so many years later, and I'm still kind of on and off. I've stopped playing Wizard 1 for a couple of years, but I've recently come back to it. And as I said, I've been going through YouTube, and I was seeing all kinds of different challenges and different things that people have done, and I got a thought. Right, with people like myself who grew up with the game, are not much older, more experienced and much wiser, there's this whole min maxing. You're only going to use 7 cards in this deck, and you're going to go and you're going to get the best equipment and the best gear and the best wands and the best spells and blah blah blah. Right? I'm not going to go into detail as to what Wizard 101 is or the mechanics of Wizard 101 or anything like that. There's plenty of videos out there on YouTube that you can see. But for the sake of this challenge, because this will be a challenge, I thought to myself, well, these young adults and adults that have grown up with Wizard 101, they understand the mechanics, they understand how the game works, and there's a ton of videos out there that teach you tips and tricks, ultimate guides and whatnot of what school to pick and what weapons to go for, what pets to train, what cards to put in your deck to maximize the efficiency of each battle, blah blah blah. Right? But I thought, what if I was a kid when I was in 2000, when I came into Wizard 101 in 2011, 2011. I didn't worry about stats. I didn't worry about min maxing my deck. I didn't worry about loot farming and finding the right equipment and going against the randomization of loot and farming bosses. I didn't think about any of that. I just played the game, right? Like most kids, I just played through the game. Um, so this challenge is going to be a little bit different. This challenge is going to be a deathless or one life challenge where I play the entirety of Wizard 101, all the worlds, all the side quests, all the content, all the dungeons on one life. The catch is, while this has been done before, the catch is that I will be doing it without using any of the pro quote unquote tricks and tips and tricks. I will not be min maxing my deck, so I will be using the cards and spells that I have. So I won't have like 7 cards in my deck, or um, I won't only be using 7 different spells. I'll be using all the spells at my disposal. I will not be training any pets. I will not be spending. I may grind a little bit off camera for specific gear or do specific quests if you guys don't want to sit there and watch me do every side quest or every dungeon or fight countless mobs of minions. Leave that in the comments below. But for the sake of this challenge, like I said, I will not be training any pets, so I will not be incorporating pets or trying to grind and teach pets. I won't be doing that on camera. If you guys want to see that, if you guys want me to use pets and incorporate pets, I may do pet training off camera. I'm not gonna subjugate you guys to watch that. But for the most part, I will be doing a detailed run of Wizard 101. There's a similar challenge to this where the creator, and I will link him down below, where the creator kind of speed runs it in a way. He only shows dungeons and battles. Like he only shows boss battles. He does not show fighting the different mobs. He explains what each world does or what the mobs of each world have. He explains the difficulty level and his strategy as to taking them down and what schools he uses, etc. It's a very detailed guide, and it's very um, viewer friendly in that he doesn't sit there. His videos are in each world is about 30 minutes. It's very condensed. It's very like I'm only gonna fight the bosses and then move on to the next area. I will not be doing that. I will be doing a detailed playthrough of each world. Obviously, Malik Iceblade. I'll be explaining more on my character and why I chose the Ice School of Magic in a minute. But yeah, I will not be doing that. I will be running through the actual game and playing out throughout the entire game. Um, so I will show you guys a detailed run of like what it looks like to play Wizard 101. So maybe you guys, for those of you who don't know what Wizard 101 is, have never experienced it, have never played it, maybe would like to play it with for yourself, or you maybe have kids and you want a family-friendly game to play. This is a good game to play. It is a good alternative. There's videos. I mean, obviously, there's the in-game currency of crowns, which you use to go into the crown shop and purchase items. I will go into that a little bit later. But you don't have to necessarily purchase crowns. There, you can earn crowns through educational videos, so kids can sit there and watch about biology, mathematics, science, geology, geometry, all these things. Educational videos about animals and science and minerals and chemistry and all kinds of videos really that teach kids stuff. So I think that that's really cool. And of course, if the parents or if you're an adult, you have your own adult money and you want to spend money on buying crowns, you can do that as well. I don't recommend that, obviously, but to each their own. But anyway, without further ado, I'm going to jump right in, and I will be actually deleting my Ice Wizard, and we will be starting from scratch, so that I can show you full-fledged. This is my Victor Plague Scholar. He's a level 17 Death Wizard, but we're going to go ahead and do a new.
Aha! The spell is working.
And Headmaster Ambrose, this is the introduction to Wizard101. So when you first start the game, you create, you'll launch your game for the first time. That scene that you just saw, or that screen that you just saw, that was if you already have an existing wizard. But if you're creating your wizard for the first time ever, you'll create your account, log into the account, and it'll take you automatically to this screen where you will create your first ever wizard.
Look, Gamma. Finally, we have found one. Oh! A young wizard. A student with amazing potential. Enough, perhaps, to save Wizard City.
Oh, really? Where?
Oh, a very, very distant realm. Oh, my goodness. On a world that does not even believe in magic. I wonder what manner of wizard they might become. Perhaps we should consult the Book of Secrets.
Headmaster Ambrose turns to regard you intently.
Answer these questions to find out what type of wizard you are.
And then they give you a little test, and kids can answer this test. And when I compete, my goal is to be the trophy of my team, medal for myself, blah blah blah. I'm gonna be skipping the test. Obviously, if you guys, when you guys first come in, if you guys are a parent that has kids, or if you're just gonna play for yourself, I highly recommend taking the quiz. It's funny. It's got a bunch of cute questions. It's actually pretty cute. I'm not gonna be taking the test. I'm gonna skip the test, and obviously there's videos that detail every school, what their pros and cons are. I won't be going into that, but I will be telling you a little bit more about ice. So ice, as it says here, ice wizards are also known as thaumaturges. Endure like permafrost. They have excellent defenses and specialize in withstanding attacks from enemies. Ice wizards may have weaker damage, but their high survivability makes them well equipped to venture out on their own without any assistance. So yeah, basically, ice is the for anyone who's ever played an MMO or any kind of strategy game, this is your tank. This is the big, beefy, high HP, lots of life, maybe not as much damage output, but we will remedy that later, and I have a strategy for remedying that later. Um, but for the most part, Ice is your highest life pool. It has the most HP of any school. It has less damage than the other schools naturally, but it has the highest health. And in a basically in a challenge where you only have one life, the more HP you have, the more wiggle room for mistakes and bad luck you have. The reason I say that is because this game runs on RNG. For those of you that don't know what RNG means, it basically means random number generator. It's completely random. Who goes This is a turn-based combat game, as you will see in a few minutes here. But who goes first in each turn? Kind of like if you've ever played Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, there's a turn-based. If you've ever played Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic the Gathering or um, like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, any card game really, there's a turn-based system, and who goes first in each duel, and what spells, how successful your spells are, how successful your defenses are, is all up to random chance. Also, the loot or the rewards that you get for winning fights is also completely random. So again, because of all these random numbers and random chances, Ice is the best school in my opinion. I mean, obviously you have Death and Life, which are much stronger schools. Um, I'll do a separate video explaining the pros and cons of each school if that's what you guys would like to see. Of course, there are many talented content creators out there who have created detailed guides as to which school is the best, which school is the worst. A lot of people arguably say that Ice is the worst school for PvP and PvE, so player versus player and player versus the environment or NPCs, for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, this is a membership based game. After a few areas, you do need to pay a membership of $9.95 a month. So there's efficiencies that people go into. Which school is going to help you grind through the entire game and just kind of breeze through the entire game as quickly as possible so that you don't have to spend months and months playing the game and therefore spending money. I personally don't think that $9 a month, if that's all you're investing into this game, obviously the Crown Shop's kind of predatorial in that way that they do heavily emphasize like getting content and packs and equipment and all the best equipment and all the best packs and all the best uh, you know skins and stuff is hidden behind a paywall, much like in Fortnite and other popular games nowadays that hide everything. Pretty much like Call of Duty, Fortnite, they all hide some of their premium content behind paywalls. Wizard101, King Isles, no different. They've been doing that since forever. Um, However you may feel about that, that's it is what it is. So I don't recommend that, but again, like I said, I don't think that $9 a month, like for 30 days, is overly expensive if that's all you're investing into the game. Now, if you're talking about like $9 a month plus $100 for a mount or $50 in crowns, I can see where it'll start getting more and more expensive. But just the membership alone, I don't think is all that bad. But anyway, like I said, I digress. The point is, as I said, Ice is the strongest school in terms of health. It has the highest health pool of all the seven schools, but it does have, albeit, lower damage. Now, that can easily be ramified by learning a secondary school, which we will get into later, and I will talk more about strategy and stuff when we get there. For the first little bit, and for this first episode, we're not gonna go too detailed into like the long term strategy because we'd be here forever and this would be an hour long video. Um, but yeah, let's go ahead and go create our
Now
character.
that we know what you are, what do you look like?
So I'm just gonna generalize my character. I'm not really gonna worry too much about hair color or outfits. Kind of create. Got that little smug ice wizard look to him. So just go through here quickly and do my thing. Okay, I'm not gonna spend too much time doing this. I'm just gonna make the ice wizard, and then like obviously I'm gonna put glasses on him, and his hat is going to be there. Pretty much that's what he's gonna look like. Next.
Remember, if you ever...
All right then. What is your name?
So Dorian, we're gonna go with Dorian Ice Spear. That's another thing. This because it is a kid game, you're not allowed to make your own name. They give you a predetermined list of names that you can choose from. This is to prevent people from making obscure or, rude names. So we're just gonna go here real quick and go to Dorian Ice Spear. Just bear with me here for a second. Dorian Ice Spear. That's going to be our name. Dorian Ice Spear. Perfect. Level 1. Let's go through there. And let's get started. Let's start our adventure.
Hello.
I'm going to skip the... Yeah. I'm going to skip the tutorial. It's really going to say you should only click yes if you've been here before. I've done this countless times. I recommend that for anybody who's new to the game, that they play through the tutorial and learn how everything goes. There's more to it than just this. The first area that you go to will also be kind of like a tutorial. There will be a lot of educational things, and there's a lot of areas that are tutorials. So now that we're here, real quick, I'm going to go ahead, come into the, I'm going to press escape to go into the settings, and then I'm going to go to realm, and go over to Grey Rose, which is the name of our professor. You will meet her later. But as you can see, pop perfect, which means that it's completely empty. Reason I'm going to do that is because another aspect of the challenge that I will be doing is that I'm going to try to minimize. I'm going to be going into servers that have a very low population, because that's going to give me a low chance of people joining my dungeon. I will not be utilizing team matchups. I will not be doing like team play. Back in 2011, 2012, 2013, when the population was kind of rough and there was areas that some servers were dead for the most part. You didn't have that big team up thing. Now, obviously, thankfully, the game has become a lot more popular in recent times, and right now we don't really have that issue. Like, if you go to one of the popular servers, you'll see people everywhere. There's a lot of different people and a lot of players. The team, the rosters for team ups is huge. And there's always all around the clock, 24 hours a day, there's always a good number of people teaming up and tackling dungeons together and things of that nature. So it's not as a prevalent problem now as it was back in the day. But just as a personal aspect to kind of challenge myself a little bit more, I will be tackling most of these fights by myself. Obviously, there will be moments where, you can't complete, there's no private servers, so there will be, on occasion, people who do join my battles or come and team up with me. It's gonna happen quite frequently when fighting mobs or battling minions. But as far as like dungeons and stuff, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But as far as like going into actual specific dungeons and boss areas, I will probably try to do those on my own, just for that added element of a challenge. So let's go talk to Merle Ambrose. I'm not gonna go through all the dialogue of each character because again, I feel like that detracts from anybody trying to experience the game for the first time. So I will be skipping the dialogue and just going straight through the first area, which is Unicorn Way. For those of you who are experiencing the game for the first time, of course, come and play through the game. I encourage you guys to read everything or listen to the voice acting. The voice acting is actually pretty good. It's actually really good for an MMO. The voice acting, in my opinion, is very solid. But yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and go through dialogue. You will see very quickly that if I were to sit here and listen to everything that everybody has to say, the video would be just hours and hours long. So we're gonna go ahead and skip through all that.
Welcome. Splendid. Time is of the essence, so I'll teleport you there directly. Seek out Private Connolly, the wizard city.
Welcome to Unicorn Way. There are. Whoa! Wizard, do you see the symbol above Private Connolly's head?
Yes.
That means he has.
What's that? It used to be up to God.
Alright. So now they send you to tackle your first enemy, the easiest enemy in the game, which is the Lost Soul. So we will be going into our first battle, and I will be showing you how that's done. So obviously you have the circle, and the circle's pointing towards them, so they go first in this instance. I will be doing Ice Beetle, which is the starter spell for my school. They go first, I go second. That should kill. Yep, so that's it. That's the end of that battle. It's pretty straightforward, and that's how pretty much all battles go. We have to go and defeat another one, so we'll go ahead and go here. Start the battle. Let's see if I go first this time. I do go first this time. So see, it's completely random. If they go first or I go first, it's completely random. So we will be again using this.
Beaten by a mere student. While your character defends heaven, you are safe from combat, but it only lasts for a short time. Get to the sidewalk before it wears off.
So we go back to Private Connolly and talk to him, and
That's the top.
he tells us to go talk to Siren Nightchant.
Oh, hey there, I'm Saren. I couldn't. Congrats! If not every title is as easy to gain as the.
Alright. So, like I said, I'm gonna skip through everything that they're saying, just so that I don't bore you guys with a long-winded episode of just dialogue. But yeah. I'm gonna take a second real quick to explain the crown shop, which is what I was talking about. So if you come here to crown shop, this initial page is actually really useful. Once you reach level 12, you can start doing like the monstrology. I probably won't be doing that. I may or may not. I'm still depending on that. Latest news tells you news about the community, Wizard101, what King Isle, the developers of Wizard101 are doing. Like I said, this is a very much still active game. The development team, King's Isle, the company, still pushes updates to this day. There's still like events, bundles, packages, items recommended. So there's like packages down here and whatnot. And so it's very active. It's very much alive. They're still doing updates. They're still doing changes. They're still making new content, adding new worlds, things of that nature. I will not be buying anything from here because you will see that things do get kind of expensive after a while. Eventually, in my adventures, when I do have enough gold, I will buy a permanent mount. There's a two tabs here. It says crowns and then gold. The gold is the in-game currency that you earn through dungeons and bosses and quests and things like that. And obviously, crowns are the in-game currency that you can purchase or earn through educational videos and things of that nature. I probably won't be doing that, but I will be buying eventually at some point one of these, maybe a broom or something that's purchased with gold. When I do finally have enough gold, I will probably buy either a pony or something with the gold that I've acquired, and then that would be a permanent mount. But these are permanent mounts, which means that you will have them as long as your character exists. You will always have them. They're permanently tied to your account, to your character, so they will never expire or go away. But later on, you will see we will earn a temporary mount, which will last for maybe 1 day or 7 days, or depending on the timers that they have. So let's fight some skeletal pirates. So this has a 70%. So if you see the card there at the bottom, you'll see 70%. That's the chance of its success. That's the success rate. Each card has different success rates. Like this Ice Beetle is 80%. This Death Sprite's 85, and then this is 70. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with 70. I'm gonna go with the snake, just to see if I can see. Okay, so he fizzled, which is what I was hoping would happen on either turn. So a fizzle is basically the spell failed. You attempted to do a spell of whatever type, attacks, healing, whatever, and it has a percentage chance of failing or falling apart, of not accomplished. So this game does utilize that mechanic, and it does fizzle out. You may, for him, it was detrimental because he fizzled and he couldn't attack me, and then I attacked him and I won the fight. It could go either way. He just attacked me. Now I'm gonna go do that. I fizzled, as I knew I would, because I was using a lower spectrum spell. That one only had a 70% chance, so those fizzle more often. Okay, that's 2 fizzles in a row. So we're off to a we're off to a bad start already. Ironically, this is the heavy hitting. So you can see he's just pushing away. He's just chipping away at my HP.
Parley, parley! Ye got guts, little wizard. More than us to be sure, but ye be no match for that which rattles in the darkness.
Yeah. So it is very unlikely, not impossible. I won't say it's impossible, because nothing's impossible in this game. But it is very unlikely that you will lose in Unicorn Way. It's very unlikely that you will die in this area, because Unicorn Way is still very much the tutorial area of the game. It's still the very beginning. It is introducing people to the game, so it's very difficult to actually lose in this area. But once you get to the other streets of this world, you start to see that the bosses do get a little bit tougher, and it does change. It does change things. So I'm going to go ahead and equip this, which gives me... So I'm going to go ahead and equip that equipment. Basically, the ring that I just equipped is the Flawed Opal Band. It gives me 10 more points to my health. And the hat that I equipped was the Frost Touched Cap, which gives you a +2 to storm, or to ice damage, so ice defense, which means that The +2 to ice resistance will go over to my character. These are your shields or your resistance, which means that you can resist the damage done to by those types of spells. So anybody who comes and hits me with a ice type attack, I have a +2% to resistance. Ideally, throughout the game, you want to make it so that all of these have a high resist. Um, it could be anywhere from 30, 25, 10, 15, 56. Like, it just depends on the equipment that you have and what equipment you utilize. But you want to have the highest amount of resistance possible to negate as much damage as you can from spells. So let's run over and talk to Lady Oriole in the hedge maze. This will be a longer video because I've spent a lot of time explaining what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, um, the rules of the challenge, what you can expect from this challenge, what I intend to do throughout the challenge, what the rules are, and I will be posting them again in the comments. I will post the rules itself, like what I what I can and cannot do, and obviously this is a one life challenge, which means that the more we progress, the more entertaining and nail biting it'll be, because again, if I lose any one of these duels, if I lose any of these fights to a minion, to a boss, to a dungeon, if I lose any kind of battle to anything, I delete my character and start from scratch. Come all the way back to Merle Ambrose and Unicorn Way. So, and I will not be just doing the main story course. Like, I'm not just going through the main story. I'm doing all the quests, all the dungeons, all the bosses, all the side quests. I'm doing everything. So,
What purpose?
lots and lots of chances for
times make me leery of new fate. The evil force.
lots and lots of chances for me to end up dying. And if I do die anywhere along the way, the run is over. So so we will see how far we get. And then of course, we're not gonna give up after one run. Like, if we do end up dying, or we do end up losing this character, I'll make a new character. I will hold a vote. And for those of you that watch and are interested and invested in this kind of challenge, or watching me do this journey of going through and trying to get as far through the Wizard universe as possible without dying, if I do die, I will hold up a raffle or a vote, and you guys can vote on which school you want to see me do next, and I will do a playthrough of that school. I'm trying to fight these pixies, and they don't want to fight. There we go. They don't want the smoke. They didn't want the smoke. Those two were like, nah, we don't want it. We don't want to fight you. Alright. That takes care of that. This gives me 22 points of health. It does not match, but you know, it is what it is. We're not always going to match. Sometimes we're going to look a little funky, but it's all in the interest of improving our stats as much as possible. Because again, another rule of the challenge is that I will not be using any purchased items. I will not be purchasing equipment to better myself. I will only be using what I find. So it is, again, the loot that you get or the rewards for these battles are completely random. I could get a robe that gives me really good stats, but is only tied to another school. So I might get this really cool robe or this cool hat that gives me amazing stats, but only Storm Wizards can use it.
Down in my bones. But now that terrible cloud has been lifted, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay. But yeah, you may get robes or a wand or a hat that gives you really good stats and really good bonuses, but then it'll say like storm only or fire only, and it won't be used. We won't be able to use it. That kind of loot I usually tend to sell, and when we get there, I'll explain more of like what the bazaar is and what the stores
Hear
are.
a tiny, joyful voice call your name.
Thank you for helping us, kind wizard.
Okay.
Your courage and benevolence will not soon be forgotten by the fairy folk.
Next.
Is that
Fantastic. Alright. So if you see here, we're going to get the shoes. And then we're going to get the broom. It says enchanted broom 1 day, which means that I will have this enchanted broom for 24 hours. After 24 hours, that mount disappears. But we will get more mounts along the way. So this broom, as you can already see, gives you a bit of a speed boost. It gives you, I think, a plus 40% to speed boost, so you do move a lot faster than if you were just running everywhere. Eventually, like I said, when we get to that point and we have enough gold, we will buy a permanent mount. But until then, we will rely on quests and dungeons and stuff. There's plenty of quests and plenty of dungeons throughout the game that give you temporary mounts. You can also purchase temporary mounts from a vendor in town here in Wizard City. 4 gold. You can pay 1,000 gold coins and get a mount for, I think it's 7 days. So
hello? You were gone for sorry.
not difficult to obtain a
I said,
not difficult to obtain a mount. Alright, so our next thing is going to fight Rattlebones, but before we do that, we're going to help Private Connolly with his problem.
Get back on dead fish. Oh,
He was worried about his friend Private Orion, so we had to save Private Ryan. And then he talks about Lady Blackhope. We're not going to fight Lady Blackhope right now because there's another quest that we're going to take that involves her tower, so we'll do 2 birds with 1 stone when that time comes. For now, what we're going to do is we're going to go and deal with Rattlebones and fight the boss for Unicorn Way. And once that's done, then we move on. Canonically, story-wise, we move on to the next street. So we'll take care of that when we get there.
good work, my thrall. This could be the tone barrister.
So for a lot of people, this could be a very intimidating fight because this is the first time that...
I could use a combat break. Let's play.
We'll wait till he's done yapping. This, like I said, this will be an intimidating fight for anyone because for the first time you're going against you're going 2v1, but as you can see, they're not particularly difficult. He actually used a death trap, which I think is pretty cool. Death trap increases the amount of damage that he will do with death spells. Obviously, if you look at the top here, he's a death school user, so that's pretty cool that he uses a death trap. I've actually never seen him use that before. I'm gonna go ahead and hit him with that. So now he's gonna use a death spell, a natural attack. Oh, cool! That's gonna do a bit of damage. Because a natural attack uses up the pips are the little white orbs. These little white orbs down here are called pips. Um, he had 2 pips, so obviously his damage was a little bit higher than normal. But this boss is weathered down, so like I was saying, it is 2v1, but these bosses are weathered. They're like watered down because this is a starter area. So he's doing a lot less damage than he's supposed to.
In his haste to leave,
once it hatches, you can equip it just as you would any other pet.
Oh, interesting. I actually got a pet from that. I've never gotten a pet from that before. Interesting. So, you see, fighting these bosses
as you walk back onto Unicorn
is actually
Way,
useful because you
can't
get
help
loot.
but notice that
Everything
the
is
dark
random.
magic
And
that was
again,
previously choking the street seems to have abated.
again, you can always go and look up these stats. These are common stats. This guy's going to explain reagents.
You've just collected a reagent. Reagents are used as ingredients in crafting recipes. You can find different reagents throughout the spiral, either by harvesting them, defeating monsters, or purchasing them. Reagents go in your reagent bag, which you can access by selecting the crafting tab in your spellbook, or by pressing J on your keyboard.
So as you can see, there's a lot of tutorials that pretty much explain everything about the game in a very simple, easy to digest way. There's no convoluted wording. There's no like in-depth explanation. They just pretty much give you a simple, easy to digest explanation of what everything does. Because again, this game is catered for children. But yeah.
You did it, didn't you? You beat the darkness.
Explorer boots. Okay. Oh, okay. You see here, I have the little fist and the blue border means that that's an item that I have equipped. The Explorer boots are a +1 shield. When it doesn't show a symbol for a school, that's just a universal defense. So those are good because it gives you a +1 universal defense, meaning that it'll be a defense or resistance against all incoming spells. That's actually pretty useful, and finding equipment that gives you universal defense is actually pretty good because you have a resistance against all schools. Obviously, as you can see, my boots give me a +2 to frost, and then that gives you a +1 to universal. So obviously the universal defenses are going to be much weaker than school-specific resistances.
Well, hello. Whoa there.
Okay. Well, this video is going on for about 45 minutes now. And I like to post my videos unedited and just raw footage. It's a bold style, but it is what it is. So what you see is what you get. This is unfiltered, raw, unedited footage. So we're going about 45 minutes now. So I will be ending this video here. This was Unicorn Way, which was the first street of Wizard101. Or of Wizard City, which is the first world of Wizard101. In my next video, like I said, there'll be a lot less talking, a lot less explaining, and more just jumping into it. But I do thank you guys for watching. I thank you guys for sticking with me up to this point. If you've made it to this far in the video, you're awesome. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And if you could leave a comment, a like, and subscribe. Obviously, like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to get notifications of when I post new videos. That would be awesome and greatly appreciated. Even if you don't subscribe, leave a like. It's free. It helps a lot. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, but I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.